One of the jury, all that needs to be said is this.
What the hell is wrong with you people? Every famous nigga that gets arrested is not Nelson Mandela. Yes, the government conspires to put a lot of innocent black men in jail on fallacious charges. But R. Kelly is not one of those men. We all know the nigga can sing. But what happened to standards? What happened to bare minimums? You a fan of R. Kelly? You want to help R. Kelly? Then get some counseling for R. Kelly. Introduce him to some older women. Hide his camcorder. But don't pretend like the man is a hero. And stop the damn dancing. Act like you got some goddamn sense, people. Damn. Don't playing around here.
Welcome back to my channel. I'm giving out an extra greeting for all of you who have subscribed. Okay, this is the extra greeting. Do not look at this if you haven't subscribed. Okay, extra greeting. Hey guys, how you been? Welcome back to my channel. How's your weekend been? Okay, end of extra greeting. Okay, today, in lieu of Sexual Assault Awareness Month, we're going to be talking about the Surviving R. Kelly documentary. Yep. We're gonna talk about Robert and he did, the messy shit he did. He was I have so many thoughts. Okay, so I watched this whole thing one day, all 6 episodes, 6 long episodes, but I get it, I get it. It's an important topic, so we need to discuss it to great length. Okay, so I get it. I get why it's so long, but if you haven't watched it, it is 6 episodes long. For all of you who haven't seen it, I googled watch Surviving R. Kelly documentary online, and it was literally the first link on Dailymotion. That's how I saw it. I'm sure there are lots of people illegally streaming out there. Okay, I'm back with the glasses because I can't see for shit. Okay. Basically, it began with a little background info about Robert. I'm gonna call him Robert because, yeah, the entire time I was watching this, I was just screaming at my, computer screen, Robert! Oh my god. So it began with a little intro background on Robert Kelly and his life in Chicago. We basically find out from his brothers that he was a shy, timid little kid who couldn't really read or write very well. They didn't say he was illiterate, but I have a feeling he basically reads at maybe a 4th grade level, maybe. So we find out that he was a quiet, shy kid, but both of his brothers talk about how he was very talented in music. He was always a great musician, and they felt that he was gonna go somewhere with music, which he did. They also revealed that Robert and one of his brothers, I can't remember which one, if it's the oldest or the youngest, they talk about how Robert was actually sexually molested by several family friends or family members. There's a rumor going around that it was actually his older sister. I don't know, this is all allegedly, basically Robert was sexually molested from the ages of 7 to 14, and he reveals that was really, well, this isn't Robert, they didn't interview Robert, but this is a clip, an interview of Robert answering some questions about his ideas on sex. So Robert was basically saying that like because of this experience it awoke him sexually at a very young age, which is very important, I think, because this will give, you know, some insight into why Robert is the way Robert is. When you go through such a traumatic experience as a young child and you don't get any therapy, you don't get any counseling, you don't get anything, which I assume was the situation, because Robert says that they were very poor and his brother said they were all very poor. So I'm assuming they didn't get no therapy or nothing, you know. When you don't get therapy for stuff like this, it really warps the way you see sex and what you believe sex should be like. And the psychologist also said the same thing too, basically, that like it would explain why Robert treats sexual relationships the way he does, because he hasn't really been shown how sex is, or he doesn't really know what sex is supposed to be like. Or I mean, there's chances that he should have by now, like he's a whole grown-ass man. But anyways, we learned that that's what happened to Robert. And then we get to learn that Robert needed therapy as a child, and he needs therapy right now. Like, if somebody get therapy for Robert right now, you know, right now. Robert needs therapy right now. Okay, so this is the beginning of episode 1. Then we meet Javante Cunningham, a former backup singer who met R. Kelly when she was 14 years old. Yeah, she was 14. Homegirl was 14, and then she became a backup singer, and basically she talks about the course of her career with R. Kelly and how she allegedly saw Robert having sex with underage girls several times. Okay, first of all, that's not having sex. That's called statutory rape. Statutory rape, that's what that is. If you are having sex with someone who is not like the age of consent in your state or province or whatever, that's called statutory rape, and you will go to jail and you will be made a sexual offender, and everyone will know you as a sexual offender. That's what that is. So it's illegal, don't do it, and it's bad. Okay, let's not do that shit. No. Okay, we then hear that Robert's older brother, and he talks about, oh, it's a preference, and I like older women, and Robert likes younger women. So what? It's a preference. And it's like, what? What do you mean? Like, what do you mean it's a preference? You can't prefer to have sex with underage women, or not women, underage girls. That's not a preference. That's statutory rape. I mean, I know people is like, it's not pedophilia. Pedophilia, like, that's not the right word. Okay, it's hebophilia or whatever. It's still wrong. It's not a preference. And after hearing that, I was like, okay, I guess I know all I need to know about this family. They're a whole mess. All of them, a mess. So, yeah, and what really got to me about this segment was that everyone starts talking about how, oh, they saw Robert hanging around the school, hanging around McDonald's, hanging around, like, underage girls. In fact, the principal talked about how he would literally see Robert pick up girls from the school. And, like, Robert is, like, graduated. He's well into his 20s, and he's still doing this. And they're all like, okay, yeah, Robert is picking up girls, and it's bad, but no one is calling the cops? What? Nobody is trying to stop him? No one is, I mean, what? People are, oh, like the music teacher is like, oh yeah, I talked to him and I told him, yeah, you shouldn't be doing this, but like nobody is calling the cops? I am confused. Like, you really see how a lot of people didn't step in because Robert was paying their bills, and so they were gonna enable Robert to do horrible and, you know, you see them do all this because Robert is paying their bills. Like, I'm trying to imagine the cognitive dissonance and like the mental gymnastics you would have to do to like ignore all of what he was doing, you know, just so because you need that check, you know, because times are hard and you need that check. Like, Okay, maybe this is my privilege talking, but I don't get that. I really don't. I mean, I understand it, but like personally, I don't know if I could ever do something like that. Like, you know, it's weird. And I think this really drives the fact that society doesn't really care about the sexual dehumanization of girls, specifically black girls. Like, nobody cares, you know, if we are being abused and all this stuff. You know, people are still gonna make excuses for their behavior because they don't want to, you know, face the facts, and that is Robert is a child predator, he's a sexual predator, and he should be in jail. Those are the facts. These are the facts. Okay, so then we get to her talking about Aaliyah, and she talks about how she saw Aaliyah and Robert having sex in a tour bus in the late 90s, or in the 90s, I think, early 90s. Aaliyah was literally 14 years old, and she was a literal child. That's disgusting. I can't. Of course, Aaliyah's mom has been saying those are lies, but like we all know what happened. Like it would explain why Robert and her got married. Like, there's literally a marriage certificate going around with Aaliyah's name on it and Robert's name. And Aaliyah was 15 at the time and Robert was 27, but Aaliyah lied and said she was 18. So we know what happened, and we know he was doing things he wasn't supposed to be doing. And there's also a rumor going around. I don't remember if it was in the documentary. I've watched a lot of videos about people talking about this, so I don't know, can't remember if this is in a documentary or not. But there's a rumor going around that I think this was in a documentary, that Aaliyah was pregnant at like 15, and this is why Robert like needed them to get married. And then we see this stupid ass manager laughing about the whole situation. He's like, ha, that's just Robert doing Robert things. I had to fake up a marriage certificate. It's just Robert being Robert. Like, how is this funny? I mean, how are you gonna laugh about you being an enabler and you enabling a man to get married to a young child? How's that funny? It's not funny, okay? So then episode 2 basically details several women who were all young girls who got involved with R. Kelly. So Lisa Van Allen, Lizette Martinez, and Andrea Kelly. Well, Andrea Kelly's a bit older, actually. She's like, I think in her early 20s when she gets involved with R. Kelly, but like the other two were like 16, 17 years old. And we are also introduced to Sparkle, who is an R&B singer that was like signed under R. Kelly, and like R. Kelly was her mentor. And we get introduced to how like Sparkle introduces her niece to R. Kelly because her niece is really interested in being a rapper, and she thought R. Kelly could help her. So episode 3 starts off with Lisa Van Allen. Like I talked about, she was basically like lured. I want to say lured. She was like, she basically went to a music shoot. She was 17, the youngest there. She didn't think like R. Kelly would have even noticed her, but of course he did. He did, because he's a sexual predator. He noticed her, and he got her number, and they got involved in a sexual relationship. And so she talks about how he used to force her to have threesomes with other girls. And then she talks about how he would videotape the whole thing, and he would do it without her permission. He even had a whole ass bag of tapes of him having sex with girls. So she like started to watch some of them, and she discovered that she was on one of the tapes with an underage girl. Meanwhile, the Chicago Sun-Times got an anonymous tip that the Chicago Police Sex Crimes Unit was looking into Robert and his dealings with young girls. And so in 2002, an anonymous package was delivered to the Sun-Times. So it was a tape that allegedly had Robert having sex with a 14-year-old girl. Now, okay, when this was happening, I was like 5 or 6. I don't even think I was like 6. I was like 5 years old. So I wasn't even like, you know, I was in Nigeria living it up. I was in Nigeria. I was not in America. I was not in North America. I didn't know Robert Kelly. So at this point in time, this was not something I knew. But when I had heard about this later on, I honestly assumed that Robert had gone to jail. I didn't know that he didn't go to jail for it. And it was only like until hearing about the stuff that had happened in Atlanta and like the sex cult stuff that I like learned that, oh my god, like he didn't go to jail for that. He didn't go to jail for that. Like, what? What? Like, I think even in the tape, they say like the tape, like in the trial, Robert basically was like, no, that's not me. That's my brother. And then like you can apparently in the tape you can literally hear someone say, yo R or yo Kels, and he's like, and he responds. So like we know it's him. We know it's Robert, and lots of witnesses testified that is Robert, and he's like, no, it wasn't me. I can't, y'all. So then we then see Sparkle basically tell us that the girl in the videotape, the 14-year-old girl, was her niece. Yeah, it was her niece. That was really sad. Like, I was really sad when I heard that. Like, I had to sit down for a few minutes and just like sit down and calm myself down, because that is unbelievable. That's really sad. It's really sad. So then they talk about the trial and how like in the trial, Lisa Van Allen, the girl who was also on the tape, but she was 18 at the time, and Sparkle's niece was 14. She talks about how she testifies because she wants to get some justice, and she basically says that she testifies that the girl in the videotape is Sparkle's niece. But then Sparkle's brother-in-law comes on the stand, and he basically says, nope, that ain't my niece. Or I mean, that's not my daughter. That's not my kid. That's not her. And then Sparkle's niece testifies, I think, and says that that wasn't her. And then there's some like discussion on whether R. Kelly paid them off. Sparkle doesn't know, but she thinks they got paid off because her brother still works for R. Kelly. And I honestly think he paid them off. I honestly think R. Kelly paid off Sparkle's niece and her family so that he wouldn't go to jail. And it's like really sad how money and power can really allow people in these sort of positions to continue to perpetuate BS and to keep doing shitty shit, like bad things. Like it's really sad. Okay, so then we get into episode 4. R. Kelly is basically arrested on 21 counts of child pornography charges. Despite the charges, he's still out here making music. He's out here making Ignition. Like, I think the album was called The Chocolate Factory, and this is when Ignition came out, and like I know he was on the charts and people didn't care. People just didn't care that he was on trial for child pornography and for urinating on a 14-year-old girl. Nobody cared. Nobody cared. People were just like, he bops, the music bops. So let's ignore the fact that he is allegedly a sexual predator. Okay, the trial was basically postponed for 6 years, and then the trial actually happened in 2008, I believe, or 2009, I can't remember. It would be 2008, because I think the trial started in 2002. So because the trial was postponed, and this apparently we find out that like this is because Robert purposely did that. You know, the defendant can get a trial postponed if they want to. So the trial was postponed, and Robert basically evaded the law because of that. Like, so the victim was not a complainant, so there was no one to file against R. Kelly, and like, so because there's no victim, can you really put R. Kelly in jail? You really can't, because you need someone to be accusing him of something. And if no one is accusing him of something, there is no crime committed, you know. Crime is a social event. It's an interaction with two people or several people. So you need an accuser. And when you don't have one, there is no crime in the eyes of the law. That's how it works. And so they interviewed a juror who basically said, well, he didn't like the way some of the witnesses were dressed and the way they talked, and that's why he found R. Kelly innocent. And I was, what do you mean? Like, it doesn't matter what you wear. If someone is planning to sexually debase, devalue, dehumanize you, they're going to do it regardless of what you're wearing. It's not what you're wearing, bruv. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about, but it's not true. And that was really gross to hear and really sad to hear as well. So, as this is all happening, we meet another survivor named Geronda Pace. Geronda was a super R. Kelly fan. She used to go to the trial, literally skip school and go to the trial and like give R. Kelly words of encouragement. And you know, she's 14, so of course he noticed that. He noticed that she was there, and he basically got her phone number, and she got pulled into all of this mess. And I can't believe Robert, even going to during trial for child pornography, was out here still in these streets committing the same shit. I can't. When does he have the time? I can't. I at this point, I'm looking at Robert like, are you normal? Are you normal?
What's wrong with you? Are you normal? Are you normal? Are you normal? Eh?
How does one do such a thing? I don't. Robert confused. he is just, I don't understand. And so Geronda is young, and she just didn't want to believe Robert was doing any of the things the police were saying, and like, you can't blame her for that because she was a young kid and she didn't know any better. And yeah, that's what happened to her. So that's really sad. So then episode 5 and 6 basically gets into the other victims and the sex dungeon in Atlanta, and sort of like the sex cult R. Kelly is running presently, I believe, still. And there's a lot of girls involved. Some of them, their parents are still actively fighting for them. It's just really sad. So like, I know a lot of people were asking like, where are the parents? And a lot of people are saying, oh, if I was that parent, I wouldn't do this, or I would have done this, or I would have done X, Z, and Y. Like, you don't know you'd have done anything because you're not in that position. And I don't think it's really anyone like of our places to blame or judge them, because like, what about R. Kelly? R. Kelly is the manipulator here. Robert is the big manipulator here. He manipulates with money, threats, sex, power, everything. He is literally the absolute worst. It is like very upsetting to see people, men and women alike, caping for him and saying, oh, they're just fast little girls, or oh, they're old enough to know right from wrong. What about Robert? Robert is a whole grown-ass man. Why is he attacking and going after these young girls? Why, like, no one's gonna say, oh, what's wrong with Robert? Why isn't Robert in therapy? Why are we letting Robert do this? No, we have to blame these young girls as if, when you're young, like, there's no possible way any person who's older than you and is an authority figure can manipulate you into doing things. Like, we know this happens all the time. And like, for people to say like, oh, well, where are the parents? Like, I think this is just a way to dismiss the issue, to dismiss the survivors, to dismiss everyone's like placed in this situation. Like, that's just an excuse. And I don't think you're really helping anyone by using those excuses, the psychologist talks about adultification and how the children or girls are like adultified, and like this is the same thing with Aaliyah. Basically, like that was a whole adultification issue, and like we know that adultification robs children of their childhood, and children aren't seen as kids, who make mistakes or get into situations, and this is why like we see research basically proving that what we all already sort of knew, but like there's research to back up the fact that like people do see black little girls as less innocent than other children. Like I feel like I've always known this, but like it's great to have like research to back it up, and whoever the academic who did that, like thank you for doing that work. But we now know that like this is true. Like, why aren't black girls afforded the naivete and the silliness that other children are allowed to have? Like, why is that? Why aren't we allowed that? I think people really need to think about like why they feel black girls and black women deserve this sort of treatment. We don't. So my last and final comment is on all the people talking about, oh, they just want to attack a black man, and they see a black man and he's winning, and that's why they're coming, blah, 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 and black man this and black man this. Okay, what you're saying is not absolutely wrong. It's true. Black men who commit these kinds of crimes are often attacked much more quickly, and they're attacked way more than the Harvey Weinsteins of this world, the white men who do these kinds of things. We know this. But it doesn't mean we should allow them to continue to abuse, manipulate, and destroy people's lives in our communities. Like, no. When you say that sort of thing, it sounds like you want them to have the right to manipulate and destroy another person's life like a white person could do. Like, no, we don't want that. And for people who are talking about Harvey Weinstein and like that mess, like there's a lot of documentaries actually being made about Harvey Weinstein. There's a lot of documentaries on Woody Allen, documentaries on Roman Polanski, etc. Like there's a lot of documentaries. You're just not watching them, So this issue is important, and it's not gonna go away. So we need to be having these discussions. So that's it. I know this video was kind of long, but the documentary was long, and so my recap is long because everything is long. So let me know what you thought about the documentary. Were there things you thought could have been done better? Do you think R. Kelly is actually gonna go to jail because of all this investigations that have risen after the wake of this documentary? Do you think anything like that will happen? Is there more action you want for people to be doing? Let me know. Comments, please. Say something. That's it. Thanks for watching. I'll be back soon with another video. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Click that bell notification, and also yeah, I'm gonna be, if you subscribe, I'm giving out an extra greeting. Okay, so bye for now, and I'll see y'all later.